Chaotic scenes at the INEC headquarters in Enugu. The legal representatives of the Labour Party governorship candidate denied access to the beavers machine despite a court order.
Yes, it was Labour Party that got this order from the tribunal. Now the INEC is insisting that we must have a consensus with PDP, that PDP must agree with us before we inspect the materials. And this is something that is so strange to us. We've never seen anything like this before.
What in the world is happening in Nigeria? Why is there an institutional failure in Nigeria? Why do we allow impunity to fester? What has PDP got to do with a court order that Labour Party secured to come and inspect the beavers machine? INEC is a public agency funded by the taxpayers. Why are they protecting the interest of PDP when they are supposed to be neutral? They don't even hide their partisanship. They have become a bottleneck in the advancement of democracy in Nigeria. INEC caused this situation in the first place. If INEC officials had done the right thing by verifying the number of accredited voters in Nkanu East local government area, they wouldn't have collated the results because there was serious overvoting in the said local government area. And the INEC officials in Abuja, instead of advising the resident commissioner in Enugu to do the right thing during the governorship election, they invited him over to Abuja and gave him instruction to just announce the results without verification. What audacity, what impunity. That's why they are hiding. They don't want the Labour Party to inspect the beavers as ordered by the court. It is time they took action. The Labour Party legal team needs to get back to the court so that the court can apply punitive measures on the resident electoral commissioner in Enugu. When he is removed, the next in line will obey the court order and allow the Labour Party legal team to inspect the beavers machine. The PDP candidate in Enugu used the old playbook of politicians to rig the election during the governorship election. The same thing Wike did during the presidential election in Obiakpo local government area in Rivers State was the same thing that Peter Mba did in Nkanu East local government area. He waited for results from other local government areas to come in so as to know how many votes he needs to pump out from Nkanu East local government area in order to beat his opponent. The PDP governorship candidate in Abia State tried the same method in Obingwa local government area of Abia State. He pumped a whopping 70,000 votes in order to beat the Labour Party candidate, but it failed because the INEC commissioner stood her ground. So it is obvious that INEC is the main bottleneck. They are the ones that rig elections for politicians. When they refuse to do the right thing, they refuse to obey the law, their own guidelines, their actions enable the wrong people to get to power. So isn't it time we reformed INEC? 30 years ago in 1993, Professor Humphrey Nwosu conducted the freest and fairest election in Nigeria's history without using any technology at all. Everything was conducted manually, including the option A4. It was an open ballot system. Voters just lined up behind the poster of their candidate at the polling unit. They are now counted by the electoral officer, counted in front of everyone, party agents and all observers. Immediately after counting, the votes are recorded and sent to the next collation center. When the results arrived at Abuja, they quickly posted it on the bulletin board for everyone to see. Even while they were posting the results, IBB invited Professor Humphrey Nwosu. The chief returning officer, Professor Iredia, continued posting the results on the bulletin board. They were not afraid of anyone, including the military. When IBB asked Professor Humphrey Nwosu why he didn't obey an Abuja High Court order that stopped the election, he told him to his face that the court had no jurisdiction. That's why they ignored the order and went on to hold the election. So IBB had no other choice but to annul the election since Professor Nwosu refused to stop the announcement. So if all this could happen 30 years ago, why are we regressing? Why can't we equal our own record? This is the record that we Nigerians set 30 years ago, not a foreign country. So why can't we even equal it? We are supposed to be growing. We are supposed to be surpassing our records. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. The reason we are regressing is because we no longer have patriots working in institutions that are supposed to uphold democracy. In a democracy, the only way someone can become a president, a governor, or a House of Assembly member is through an election. INEC is the institution that conducts election. And since they are compromised, how do we reform them to improve our democracy? It is not only INEC that needs to be reformed. We need to reform the entire electoral process. We need to change the way we vote. This is 2023, not 1970. We also need to remove the powers that most of the INEC officials have. No one should have the power to declare anyone winner of an election. It should be by affirmation by a judge. If all conditions are met by any candidate in any election, a judge will look at the figures and affirm it. The power of declaration of someone as a winner has been so abused. Look at what INEC chairman Mahmoud Yakubu did. If he didn't have that power, we wouldn't have been in this mess. How can a civil servant have such a power to declare someone a winner? And they will turn around and tell you go to court. What they are doing is worse than military coup. We need to reform the system so that the will of the people will be upheld. Not someone sitting somewhere and writing some figures and he becomes the governor or president or local government chairman or even a senator who will eventually become the Senate president. So we need to reform. We need to start punching the figures at the polling unit, not just snapping the result sheets and posting it on IREV. We need to amend the Electoral Act so that there will be an electronic collation like it is done in other countries. We don't need to reinvent the wheel, just emulate what others are doing. We need to eliminate all these collations at different levels, ward level, local government level, state level, and up to Abuja level. This can be done by machines and applications. We need to eliminate the rigging, because majority of the rigging, when you look at the past elections, they were all done at the collation centers, from ward level to local government level, all the collation centers. That's where they assemble and write anything they like and tell you to go to court. While writing all these results, they even prevent opposition party members from being inside the collation rooms. So why should we continue using a process that doesn't work and expect to get a different result? Imagine the savings when we start using electronic collation. The polling officer at the polling unit needs not to go anywhere. After punching the figures, that's the end for him. He just needs to return the materials used in conducting the election. INEC wouldn't need to employ people working at any collation center because all processes have been concluded at the polling unit. That's where the elections hold anyway. So imagine the cost savings on logistics, on staff, employing ad hoc workers that you don't need. While the electronic collation is going on, everyone will be seeing it live in real time. There's no manipulation. They just need to secure their servers and encrypt their connections. And there will be no need to wait for several days to know the winner of the election. The winner of the election will be known a few hours after the close of polls around the country. Everyone will see who won the election, and a judge will sit down and check to see whether all conditions were met by the winning candidate. After which he will affirm the results. There will be no need for any candidate to go to court to contest the elections after, because the conduct of the election was very transparent. Compare that to what is going on today. People will finish voting at the polling unit and some people will go somewhere and write different results, and INEC will not even look at their guidelines or the laws, what it says. They will just collate it without verification. Why will they not collate it since they are working with the people who wrote the figures in the first place? Imagine INEC fabricating a reason that they rigged the election. Nigeria bought machines worth billions of naira in order to secure the results from polling units. Now INEC turned around and said, we no longer use the IREV, we didn't upload, we are doing manual. Why did we spend billions in the first place? So coming back to what is happening in Enugu, the judiciary to understand that they are the ones being ridiculed. How can a civil servant disobey the order of a court? The judiciary needs to assert their authority. Thanks for watching.